Welcome back to Popcorn Corner, I'm Dan Draper, and today we are looking at the final entry to the Tom Hardy Sony Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man Venom trilogy, Venom: The Last Dance. And spoilers ahead, you've been warned.
Jesus Christ! We're Venom!
We are.
Venom!
No.
Oh!
Yeah, we
are
Venom. We're gonna need to work on that.
Okay, so as I said, this is the last film in the Tom Hardy Venom trilogy, and the film starts off with a new big bad Null, played by the motion capture legend Andy Serkis, who is a multiversal threat and looking to be set free from the realm that he's trapped in by the rest of the symbiotes that have imprisoned him, and of course, the only way to do that is Venom. We then get a full recap of the events at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home's post-credit scene, but this time we see Eddie being pulled through a multiversal portal rather than what we saw at the end of the actual post-credit scene. And Cristo Fernandez, who fans would know and love as Danny Rojas from the Ted Lasso series, is the same bartender but in a slightly different bar to what we see in the MCU post-credit scene. Anyway, Eddie and Venom make themselves a cocktail in a very messy way, and as someone who worked in hospitality for many years, if he left my bar like that, I'd be fuming. Eddie and Venom then catch sight of themselves on TV as they're wanted for the murder of Detective Mulligan from the last film, and they go on the run to New York so that Eddie can get his name cleared by a judge who he has got some serious dirt on. We then get introduced to Chiwetel Ejiofor's all-American General Rex, who hates everyone, which we've seen for about 20 years now, and Juno Temple playing Dr. Payne, who loves studying the symbiotes and has quite the collection underneath Area 51. Oh, also, Stephen Graham as Agent Mulligan is alive, and of course, it's because of a symbiote, because everyone has to have one nowadays. The film then becomes a two buddies travelling across America story, with Eddie and Venom sometimes holding onto an airplane, sometimes hitching a ride with a hippie family, which we're going to come back to that. All the while being chased by one of Null's monsters who is pretty terrifying. But this monster can only see the codex, which is where the symbiote and the living host, aka the human, have properly bonded after the host has died and been brought back to life by the symbiote, and it creates some sort of beacon which this monster is honing in on. Hold on a minute though, haven't we seen this before? So Venom has to hide his fully transformative state, and we see a lot of bickering between Eddie and Venom across this desert road, but they're not getting there fast enough. So Venom decides to take over a horse.
How fast do you think you can get that thing to go without killing it?
Only one way to find out!
Now let's just say that's some serious horsepower. Apologies for the pun. They stumble across a family on a road trip, and this bit actually really annoyed me because we saw Rhys Ifans, which a lot of fans would have gone, thinking that we were going to get the lizard in this film. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that this is the Andrew Garfield Spider-Verse, but don't quote me on it because there's too many to keep up with now. But he is just a normal guy with questionable parenting skills called Martin. And him and his family are on their way to Area 51. It was kind of like, why? Anyway, after a long road trip for all of us, Eddie reaches Las Vegas and tries to win some money in the casino where he meets Mrs. Chen, you know, the shop owner from down the street where Eddie lived before. And why wouldn't she be a high-rolling gambler who's staying in the penthouse suite at one of the fanciest hotels in Vegas? What? Eddie explains the trouble he's in to Mrs. Chen, and they go back to her suite, not like that, just to devise a plan. But before that, utter stupidity happens in this film, and Mrs. Chen asks Venom to dance to a remix version of ABBA's Dancing Queen. This was a proper head in hands moment though, because you've just spent the entire film hiding from these multiversal monsters that can only see you when you fully transform, and you're just willing to dance the multiverse into oblivion if you're caught and then taken back to Null? Honestly, it was a bit of a joke. The army then pick both Eddie and Venom up, separate them, and take them back to a slowly decommissioning Area 51 where their base is. So Army Man Rex knows that if either Venom or Eddie dies, then the multiverse is safe, so he shoots Eddie. But Venom's hitched a ride on one of the doctors and reconnects with Eddie and ends up healing him. Then a huge CGI monster fight takes place with Venom and the rest of the freed symbiotes and more of these monsters that Noah's sent, and to be honest, it was a pretty brutal fight. It was actually really good. Ultimately, at the end of the battle, Venom absorbs the monsters, frees Eddie and protects him with a blast door and dousing himself in some nasty acid, thus sacrificing himself and destroying the monsters entangled within him. Eddie wakes up in a government hospital and told his criminal record is expunged and can lead a new life, and that's basically the end of the film. Now, they tried to do kind of like a Deadpool and Wolverine post-credits with this one, where it was kind of like the best bits of all three Venom films. And some of it was good, most of it just didn't land. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine did it way better. Okay, so the post-credit scenes left more questions than answered, with the first one being Noel, who had his head down the entire film, saying, "Your champion has fallen, your planet will be mine, the King in Black is awake, I will kill your worlds, everyone will burn, and you will watch." Seemed a bit much, to be honest with you. It was a bit bloated. The second post-credit scene showed the captured barman escaping from the blown to hell Area 51 and one of the cockroaches approaching one of the broken vials. So what does this mean for the Venom Sony Spider-Verse moving forward? And to be honest, does anyone really care? I mean, with entries like Madam Web and Morbius coming from the Sony Spider-Verse, would I want to see them battle against someone as cool as Noel? Categorically not. Noel seems like a credible multiversal threat that it would take all of our MCU heroes to defeat, so just let the MCU do it. Let's just get the whole band back together. But back to the film itself, it was just a mishmash of scenes that were kind of just thrown together in that 2000 superhero film kind of way that's like super dated now, and it didn't really have a lot going for it, to be honest with you. It's kind of like a mayonnaise sandwich. It fills a hole, but not a lot of flavour to it. Also, I've never actually had a mayonnaise sandwich. I don't know where that just come from. It was a bit bloated, not really a lot of substance, didn't hit the mark as well, and it was just kind of a bit meh, if I'm honest with you. What I will give credit to the Venom franchise for, though, Tom Hardy playing both Eddie and Venom was sensational. He was brilliant in the role. And we got a refreshing Deadpool-ish kind of humour in this film as well, which was really nice. And also, the way that Venom looks in these films is completely comic book accurate. So, thumbs up on that front. And the cast showed so much promise for this film to be such a huge success, but yeah. I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. I really hope that we see Venom in the MCU soon, and hopefully Tom Hardy comes back and we get that Noel battle that everyone's hoping for, but I'm not holding out hope for it, to be honest with you. That's all from me, and I'll see you next time.